Hello guys and welcome to the final Russian Football Premier League predictions preview of this season for round 30. Now the title's been wrapped up finally by Lokomotiv. I was wondering when they were actually going to mathematically secure it, but they did, with a late winner against Zenit St. Petersburg thanks to Eder, who also scored the winner for Portugal in the European Championships 2 years ago. Quite how that man has secured a league title and a continental international trophy, I'll never know. But anyhow, he has. Point is, Lokomotiv are champions. SKA Khabarovsk are relegated. But there is almost everything else still up for grabs. Now, interestingly, last night we had the Russian Cup final, which Tosnor won against Avangard Kursk. However, there were reports pre-match. They sound fairly firm. I haven't seen confirmation from the Russian Football Union, but it appears Tosnor did not submit their application for a European licence for next season, meaning they won't play in Europe. This is really not much of a surprise to me, to be honest, because we've seen precedents before where, whether legitimately or not, it has been made comfortably clear that the Russian Football Union only wants clubs that are going to realistically have a chance of doing well in Europe. Rostov is the example I bring to mind from a few years ago when they won the cup and were not allowed into Europe. Anyhow, point is, there's another time and place to discuss all that. For now, we do have predictions to get onto. Now, like I say, there is still a lot to play for, and the first match we're going to look at, because all the matches kick off on Sunday at midday British summer time, 4 p.m. In Tyumen, 2 p.m. in Moscow, being the last day of the season. So all matches at the same time. Spartak Moscow against Dynamo Moscow. That's a big one for me. At both ends of the table, the most historic Moscow derby, of course. Now, Spartak, they are second on 56 points. CSKA are third on 55 points. So Spartak know if they win, they are guaranteed group stage Champions League football for next season. That is the Holy Grail. Now, they're facing Dynamo, who at the moment are 10th. Dynamo won last weekend away to Tosno, which was a huge result for them, because that lifts them 3 points clear of the relegation playoff zone, all but securing safety for next season. I say all but. There are plenty of small permutations that are a nightmare to get your head around. Thankfully, we've got you covered. Alexei, our resident statistician, has written up a very comprehensive guide to all the permutations of what can happen, what needs to happen for every team to avoid relegation, qualify for Europe, etc. I urge you, look on RussianFootballNews.com, look at that article. It will explain all the permutations you need. Point is, mathematically, Dynamo Moscow could still be drawn into the relegation playoff fight. But they know that for that to happen, Rubin Kazan, Rostov and Amkar, all have to get more points than they do. And honestly, I think at least one or two of those teams will not. Simple as that. So I think Dynamo will be safe. I think Spartak are going to win this one because of the urgency of that Champions League football. It's not the same as relegation, of course, but it's certainly an urgent motivation for any club. I think Spartak will wrap this one up. They have a few injuries, though, to concern them. Denis Glushkov's not played recently. Zailuish, and of course their cruciate ligament brigade are also still out. Andrei Yashenko's suspended, but I still think they'll win. I reckon they'll win this one comfortably. I think it'll be 2-0. Safe as, well, relatively safe as houses. Okay, moving on. In that Champions League race and relegation battle, we have another huge game. This one, CSKA Moscow against Anzhi. Now, like I mentioned, CSKA, they're on 55 points in third place. Third place will get you Champions League qualifiers. Of course, CSKA would rather get a direct route into the group stage itself, so they will have that motivation in mind. Krasnodar are 2 points back on 53 points. So if CSKA were to somehow contrive to lose at home to Anzhi, who have lost their last 5 games in a row, and have conceded the most goals in the entire league, even more than SKA Khabarovsk, and Krasnodar were to win, then CSKA will drop into Europa League, which would be disastrous. I don't expect them to have any problems against Anji, although Anji will be, of course, fighting for their lives. Anji are, at the moment, above Tosnot. They are only on, head-to-head record. So Anji know that all they have to do is equal Tosnot's result. That's what they have to do. But equaling it away to CSKA Moscow is not going to be an easy task. Like I say, I'm going to go for a CSKA win, and I think what it means is they'll get back into the Champions League qualifiers. Scoreline, Anji, the floodgates could open if their heads drop. It really could be a lot of goals in this one. However, there are quite a few injuries to concern CSKA. Question marks over Pontus Wernbloom still. Konstantin Kuchayev's got a knee injury. Shenikov with a groin. Victor Vasin long-term injury. Alan Zagoyev is a doubt. Some of those may pass their fitness test before the game, but question marks. That's the point. Scoreline. I'm going to go for a CSKA win, and I'm going to go for 1-0 in this. I know it sounds a bit on the conservative side, but I just get the feeling it's going to be one of those hot last day of the seasons. Tension is in the air. They get that goal. I think it's going to be enough for them. I don't see Anji threatening. Arsenal, Tula, Lokomotiv. Moving on. Arsenal, Tula, well, they've had a bit of a wobble. They were firmly in the race, and they are still in the race for 6th place, like I mentioned at the top of the show. They have every chance of qualifying for Europe if the Tosno news is confirmed that they won't be playing in Europe. So they're only 1 point behind Ufa. Ufa on 40 points, Arsenal on 39. Arsenal have more wins, and don't forget, wins is the first deciding factor. So if Arsenal, Tula draw and Ufa lose, then Arsenal are in Europe. Simple as that. So motivation is still there. They are, like I say though, at home to Lokomotiv Moscow. Lokomotiv won the title, so there's no urgency from them. But I just think they've been too inconsistent in recent weeks. I see this being drop points for Arsenal, which will be basically confirm. I say confirm. It depends on Ufa's result, but I think that means they're going to miss out on 6th. I'm going to go for 1-1. There's no urgency on Loco's part, but they have the confidence. They've got they can relax a little bit. Perhaps that will loosen them up. And don't forget, Arsenal were absolutely destroyed by CSKA Moscow last weekend, so that's going to play on their minds. Moving on. Okay, we're going to have to speed up a bit here. Zenit at home to SKA Khabarovsk. Well, Zenit have just had a disastrous season. It's their lowest finish in 10 years. Mancini's the talk has been building for some time about him leaving. He's had discussions with the Italian national team, I believe. SKA Khabarovsk already relegated, and they have mentally been relegated for quite some time. Even though both teams have their issues, Zenit's are not as significant as SKA Khabarovsk. Even Zenit surely can manage this. If you cannot beat SKA Khabarovsk at home, you don't deserve to be in the Premier League at all, let alone qualifying for Europe. Zenit at the moment, in terms of Europe, they will make 5th place as a minimum because they're 10 points clear of Ufa, and 6th. They are 3 points behind Krasnodar, and Krasnodar have 16 wins, so that's it. Zenit are finishing 5th. So in one sense, it doesn't really matter for them. But on the other hand, a few players may be playing for their places, maybe even playing for a move to another club. Zenit to win, certainly. I'm actually going to go for 3-0. I do think they will score goals in this one, simply because there's just nothing left for SKA Khabarovsk. All right, moving on. Krasnodar at home to Rubin Kazan. Now, Krasnodar have that faint sniff of a Champions League qualifier place, but again, they will know realistically that it will take a bizarre miracle for CSKA to lose this game. But if CSKA draw, actually, that will be enough, because they will be on 56 points. Krasnodar, if they win, the only result that could get them above CSKA and put them level on points, but that would give Krasnodar 17 wins to CSKA's 16. So, There is that motivation in the air. It will be that classic case of the coach will be saying, look, we're only playing this game to win. We're not going to listen to the results, but you can bet your bottom dollar they will be. Anyhow, point is, Krasnodar home to Rubin. Rubin, well, what's their state of play? They are on 37 points. They're actually only 2 places above the relegation playoff zone, but they are 3 points clear of it. Now, Amkar are the only side, of course, who can escape the relegation playoff zone because Anji are on 24 points, so 10 points behind them. Now, Amkar and Rubin both have 9 wins. So, if Rubin were to lose and Amkar were to win, then Rubin would go below Amkar. Technically, yes, there is that danger, but Rubin know, again, a bit like Dynamo Moscow, they are all but safe. Anyhow, let's crack on with prediction. Krasnodar, well, I think Krasnodar will make it past them. Scoreline, I'm going to go for 2-1. One little interesting fact while we're on Rubin Kazan that I find absolutely hilarious is that their joint top scorer is still Jonatas, who left them in August. But anyhow, by the by. Moving on, Ufa at home to Tosnot. Now, this one again is another game loaded with possibilities. Like I mentioned, Ufa are in pole position for 6th. They are in 6th place at the moment, 1 point clear of Arsenal Tula, and they know all they have to do is win against the Russian Cup winners. Now, like we mentioned, Russian Cup winners, Tosnot, they have serious financial problems. It has even been said in some quarters, unless they find significant funding in the next 2 weeks, they could even fold completely. They are prime candidates to be in the... Well, they may even be relegated automatically if Anji better their points total in the final round. But Ufa are desperate to cling on to that 6th place, that Europa League spot. So unlikely at the start of the season for anybody. I don't mean to be offensive. I know it is offensive and it's condescending to Ufa because they've earned it. But they couldn't possibly have expected to make European football. Now they have that genuine, realistic chance. I can't see any other result but Ufa winning this one. Tosna will have they've got to travel back from Volgograd, where the Russian Cup final was last night, and it'll be a confusing mentality for them. They've just won the Russian Cup. They've only found it 5 years ago. This is a massive moment for the club, or it should be, because it also should in theory get you passage to Europe, but they've got that question marks in the air about the financial backing. Ufa have actually, as I understand, registered they've applied for their European licence for next season, so they're expecting it, they're aiming for it. They'll definitely win, I think. I'm going to go for 2-0, straight up. Tosnot in trouble, possibly relegated directly. Rostov at home to Ural. Now, Rostov, they are level on points with Amkar PM, but they are in 12th place, just outside the relegation zone. Now, sorry, just let me get my facts straight. I might just have to correct myself there. So I've just got to look carefully at the tables because a lot of sources get mixed views on who is where. Now, that is a slightly odd one. The RFPL is putting them above Amkar, but they have 1 win fewer. Sorry, I'm slightly mixed up on that one. Anyhow, the point is they're level on points with Amkar PM. So their motivation is much higher than Ural's. Ural are 3 points behind Ufa, who are in 6th place. They have fewer wins, so it's basically they cannot, as far as I understand, they cannot make 6th at all. So really, they're safe from relegation, unless a huge number of factors. They need about 5 results to go against them. So realistically, I see Rostov winning this one. 1-0, simply because they're not great goal scorers. Ural have a reasonable defence, but again, I think Rostov have the edge in this one. And then finally we come to Amkar against Akhmat Grozny. Amkar, like I say, are in the relegation zone, but all they need to do is better Rostov's results. They have been rather bizarre towards the end of this season. They have had some encouraging results. They only have 1 win fewer than Ufa, and yet they've only scored 20 goals. Only Skar Khabarovsk has scored fewer goals all season. So Against Akhmat, well, Christ, this is a tough one. I think it's going to be a draw, and I think it's not going to do Amkar any favours. I'm going to go for 0-0 in this one, simply because I can't see either side scoring. Anyway, good luck with your predictions, guys. Get them in, and I will see you soon.